in a series of exclusive interviews, has the story. The champ on his troubled marriage.
I do have many a millions. My wife would just have to ask for it, and she has every penny I have.
His wife on Mike's mental health.
Michael is a manic depressive.
And those behind the scenes said to be fighting to control Mike Tyson, his mother-in-law.
I feel that he has come to rely on me to a great degree.
His manager.
I have money. I don't need Mike's money.
All the personalities and no one pulling any punches.
It's been torture. It's been pure hell.
The mystery of Mike Tyson, the inside story.
Tonight, after weeks of rumors and second-hand accounts, the inside story of Mike Tyson. Even people who don't follow boxing know the heavyweight champion of the world, a fighting machine in a class with Joe Louis or Muhammad Ali. But now, the man expected to become the richest boxer in history is battling for his mental health, his marriage, and his career. And we're devoting most of our program tonight to this. Barbara has woven together a story that's already made headlines. Interviews not only with Mike Tyson, but with the three most important people in his life. Barbara, if you'll set the stage now for your first conversation with Mike Tyson.
Well, Hugh, these days it seems that the only time Mike Tyson's name is in the news is when it's linked to something sensational. We've read of his antics, the reports of his erratic behavior, rumors that he beats his glamorous wife, actress Robin Givens. And if that weren't enough, there's the question of whether he's a pawn of his wife and mother-in-law or his manager. Well, incredibly, this week, Michael and all the key players in this story agreed to talk with us with the frankness rarely heard from people in the public eye. We begin with the champ.
That was a right to the body and an uppercut to the head, and Burbick is down.
And down goes Mark Young.
And down goes Holmes, and that's going to be it. It's over. That's all.
Mike Tyson, the youngest heavyweight champion in history. 22 years old, just under 6 feet tall, 220 pounds, built like a tank, and a millionaire. Not only that, last February he married the beautiful TV star Robin Givens. It looked as if he had it all. There were magazine covers, commercials, the money poured in.
Hey, Diet Pepsi's a champion too.
Then June 27th, the battle with Michael Spinks, 91 of the most expensive seconds ever.
Professional fight.
And he's down again and in serious trouble.
That knockout netted him the largest purse to date, over $20 million for a minute and a half in the ring. But outside the ring, there was trouble. First, discord with his manager, Bill Caton. But with the help of Donald Trump, a new financial arrangement that enabled Tyson to keep more money. Then rumors that the brief marriage was falling apart and that Tyson was beating his wife. And then this August, Tyson hurt in a Harlem street brawl with fighter Mitch Green. Tyson broke his hand and Green's face. On September 4th, Tyson in the news again. This time he was knocked out, crashing his own car into a tree. Once more headlines, reportedly an attempted suicide after another fight with his wife. Tyson hospitalized under psychiatric care. 4 days later, against doctor's orders, Tyson flew to Moscow to be with his wife at a taping of her television show. The photographs sent home showed a happy couple, but the reports told of fits of rage against his wife and mother-in-law. And the day after their return home, another incident. This time, Tyson attacked an NBC News crew, which caught him on an early morning run.
Hey, Mike.
What do you want?
Then 10 days ago, a shocking announcement. Tyson diagnosed as manic depressive. And the contradictions. Tyson's wife and mother-in-law say he must have treatment. Medication can control the tempestuous mood swings that bring on violence. Though Tyson trusts them implicitly, others say that they're trying to control his life. Tuesday, I went to the estate Tyson calls home, in exclusive Bernardsville, New Jersey. Tyson is proud of his home and has taken a strong hand in the furnishing and decoration. He took me through a fantasy of rooms, out to an exquisite garden, and to meet his 2 new puppies. Inside, the study with those unbelievable championship trophies, the dining room fit for grand parties, the white room for music and relaxing, and the living room with its gold leaf ceiling, and yellow silk draperies and couches. And here we talked with a calm and gentle and surprising Mike Tyson. Your house is wonderful.
Thanks.
Who decorated it?
I did everything. Me myself.
You really decorated this house?
Yeah.
But you never grew up with any of this.
Oh, but you know what I mean? That's what it's all about. That's what life's all about, elevating. You don't have to grow up with it. You know what I mean? To know. You know what I mean? You're not born with good taste. You develop it.
Let's go back a little bit.
Okay, yeah.
Tell me about your childhood.
And I come from Brownsville, Brooklyn, New York. And that's
Tough
a
neighborhood.
very tough neighborhood. And I got into like that. At first I used to get bullied. You know, I used to wear glasses.
And you didn't hit back?
Oh my, no, I wouldn't dare think of hitting back then.
When did you learn you could hit back?
I had some birds. And some guy just ripped the neck off my bird. I mean, I don't know why he just put it in my face. Blah. Second day I started fighting.
How old were you?
I was perhaps 9 years old.
Did you knock him out?
Well, I beat the guy up. I didn't do any real damage, anything.
Brownsville, Brooklyn. Like many of the kids in the neighborhood, Tyson came from a broken home. He hardly knew his father, and his mother just couldn't handle him. So he spent his early years on the street, running with a gang, running against the law.
It was very exciting, the idea of robbing someone, because you out-trick them. You know what I mean? Guys, when you come on the bus, and the bus driver would say, watch your wallets and your pocketbooks and your purses, and everybody's expecting this, and still you know, ironically, you wind up to leave the bus with a wallet or something.
So it was the thrill of being able to get away with something.
Exactly.
Did you think it was wrong?
Oh, definitely we know it was wrong.
But so what?
Yeah, so what?
Stealing wallets, shoplifting, mugging, chain snatching, and even armed robbery. At the age of 11, he was sent here to Spofford House, a detention home for delinquent boys. Were you an unhappy kid?
Not unhappy. You were frustrated because I knew I had something and I had to let it out. You know what I mean? And you know what? I was in an institution like for bad kids, and Muhammad Ali came there one day, and I said, "That's what I want to be. I want to be the champ of the world."
But wanting wasn't enough. Released after 8 months, another assault led to a longer stay here at the Tryon School, a reform school in Johnston, New York. At first, he was considered one of the worst residents, but his life changed at Tryon. A young counselor taught him to box.
I've never boxed before, and I met this gentleman, Bobby Stewart, and in order for me to box, I have to try. He said, at least try in school. And from then on, I just got honor roll after honor roll after honor roll after honor roll.
Before that, no good grades?
No.
So before that, everybody...
I had no interest.
So they thought you were dumb?
Yeah.
And then you made all A's?
Yeah.
The counselor introduced him to the legendary fight coach, Cus D'Amato. D'Amato was part of boxing history. In the 1950s, he had coached another Brooklyn kid, Floyd Patterson, and had taken him from the streets to the heavyweight championship of the world. And he believed he could do the same with Tyson. Paroled into D'Amato's custody at the age of 13, Tyson lived here with Cus and his sister-in-law, Camille Ewald. The relationship grew, and Cus became Mike's legal guardian when the boy's mother died in 1982. Though Cus knew that young Mike would be a champion, he never lived to see it. He died in 1985, a year before Tyson won the heavyweight crown. But his legacy remained. Tyson knows that it was Cus D'Amato who made him great.
For weeks and months, he would just sit down and talk, never let me hit a bag, never let me box, and develop my mind, a sense of thinking. You know what I mean? And that was a master teacher, a sense of thinking. And I'm going to tell you something that's it's going to sound very, it sounds bizarre, because Cus and I used to sit down and used to make me concentrate in the sense, you know what I mean? I'm going to tell you this, it's going to be so funny because you're not going to believe it. My spirit used to leave my body, and I could see myself perform. And it was called Zen.
Zen?
Yeah. And I've been doing this, I'm 22, I've been doing this for 10 years now.
What? What is it you do?
I've concentrated and disciplined myself.
What do you say? What did he teach you?
Deep down inner confidence. But a lot of people are good and great, but they don't really have the confidence. Because when you have the confidence, you're prepared to die by what you believe in.
How did he give it to you?
Because first of all, I mean, at a young kid, like I said, I always know I was special. I was always different when I was a kid. I was just mature and thinking. And I just wanted to conquer. That's all I wanted to conquer. If it was business, it was business. I just wanted to conquer.
Did he try to instill certain values in you?
Money was not a value. Money was a no-no. Money, you know what I mean? For me, he always wanted me to respect money. He never respected money.
If money wasn't important, what was?
Character. You know what I mean? And when you love yourself, you believe you're invincible. And your work and your accomplishments show your invincibility.
Are you a different guy in the ring?
Yeah, I'm a different guy.
How?
Because my mind is just focused on one thing.
What?
Defeating someone.
Do you hate him? Do you hate the opponent? No.
You know what? You must never get emotional, you know, Barbara? Never get emotional when you're working. If you get emotional, you can no longer perform on a high level you normally does. So you could never hate, because hate is emotional. It's just discipline, and it takes you in the ring. You do what you must do.
Which is to knock this guy out.
To win.
To win.
The objective is to win. In boxing, the objective is not to knock the guy's head off.
As I listen to you, I think, do you mind that a lot of people today don't think you're smart? They just think that you're strong?
Well, there's 3 levels of fighting. In one level, you win because you're stronger. The second level, you win because you're tougher. And the third level, you only win because you're smarter. And when I win because I'm smarter than everybody, and I outsmart them all before I beat them. Oh, okay, I'm gonna tell you a funny story. Yeah. I get totally bored with fighting. I get bored with it.
Are you bored now?
Oh yeah, I'm totally bored. I don't like fighting sometimes. But listen, when I have a challenge, I get so extremely high. It's unbelievable.
You mean if there's a competitor whom you want to defeat?
Exactly.
But the act of boxing itself bores you?
Yeah. I'm going to tell you something. Know what I do to keep my interest in boxing?
Yeah.
I wait till like almost the last moment where it's almost too late. And I know it's a threat. And it's a threat that, whoa, I got to start getting in shape. And I get in shape, and unbelievable shape, and I feel like I'm ready. And then it's a threat. But there's a challenge because he has the edge.
You compete with yourself almost.
Oh, man, I don't even believe I'm telling you because I never spoke to anyone about this. And it's scary because challenging yourself is like, God, and you know what yourself is thinking and you're fighting against yourself. It's almost like a total, like, eclipse. You know, it's just the ultimate high. You know what I mean? To be the best and conquer. It's just, you have to understand what it's like being the heavyweight champion of the world. It's just hard to believe, like, my mind races. And once it's just like a high, and that's why you say I'm totally different.
You hear all the rumors. Anything untrue?
Well, I'm not a psychopath or a maniac or anything. By no means, you know what I mean? For my doctor, you know, I've seen some doctors, and I have a very slight illness that I had all my life. I mean, just being extremely hyper.
Big highs and big lows?
No, never like real lows.
No, you don't get very depressed?
No, never very depressed. If I'm like upset or seem depressed, it's because I'm pissed off at something.
Do you have great mood swings?
I'm a moody person by nature. I mean, it's moody. Sometimes I just don't want to talk. I mean, I deserve that, but if I don't want to talk to nobody, I don't have to talk to nobody. I just don't want to talk.
Were you worried about these mood swings?
Well, like I said before, if there's anything I could do to help it, you know, I'd do it.
People think you're violent.
Not at all violent. You know, at times, you know what I mean? I raise hell, of course, yeah. You know what I mean? And I like to raise hell, you know what I mean? Because that's basically my nature, you know what I mean? Come from my background and everything, but, you know I mean? I'm not a violent guy. I would never want to hurt anyone. And definitely not the stories, you know what I mean, you hear. But like I say, you know what I mean? With that slight illness, I do things normally that I would never just do, you know what I mean?
Like what?
I mean, like raise my voice and just scream.
Yeah. It's been said that you've hit your wife.
No.
Never hit her?
Not true. Like I said, me and my wife had arguments. I never hit my wife. I grabbed my wife and hold my wife. You know what I mean? I shake my wife up, but I never totally struck my wife, beat her up. No.
What happened when you cracked up that car?
As soon as I take it off, I lost control, and you know what I mean?
Just an accident?
You know what I mean? A freak accident.
What made you go to the doctor, to the psychiatrist?
Well, you know what I mean? I thought maybe I just wanted to go. You know what I mean? I wanted to just go and say, well, maybe there is something wrong. And so I just went to the doctor, and he discussed it was I forgot, manic depression.
Manic depressive.
You know what I mean? I'm not taking any medicine because, I mean, I feel medicine's going to change me. But I'm prepared to do anything to help my health, you know, to keep myself healthy.
But Mike, if the medicine does help and prevent those big mood swings, Shouldn't you take it?
Absolutely.
So why don't you take it?
Because at this particular point, I'm very relaxed, and I'm not going through any of my highness now. You know what I mean? I'm trying my best to control it on my own.
He wants to accomplish this by himself. Well, there's much more to come. Remember that central to all of this is the question of Mike Tyson's mental health. We just heard him deny any suicide attempt or that he's violent or abusive. Now, he did describe himself as suffering from, quote, a very slight illness. Later, we'll see his wife give a much different account.
Michael is a manic depressive. He is. I mean, that's just a fact. And when he's in a manic state, he doesn't sleep. He gets out of control, throwing, screaming.
Is that the behavior of a manic depressive? When we come back, we'll get an answer from a leading psychiatrist, plus two people who some think are battling to control Mike Tyson, his very attractive mother-in-law and his controversial manager. Each accuses the other of harming Mike. More of Mike Tyson, the inside story, right after this. Dynamite, which describes the triangle of Mike Tyson, his manager, Bill Keaton, and his mother-in-law, Ruth Roper. The tensions have only increased since Mike was termed a manic depressive. Now, very briefly, before we hear from Mike's manager and his mother-in-law, it's essential to understand what a manic depressive is, whether Mike fits the description, and if he does, could it end his career? For an objective description of manic depression, Barbara spoke to Dr. Norman Rosenthal of the National Institute of Mental Health, who is an authority on this subject.
Doctor, what is manic depression?
It's a condition where people can either be very high or very low and depressed.
Great mood swings.
Yes.
Okay. Is it chemical?
It is indeed, and recently there is evidence that it is genetically transmitted.
So it can be treated?
It certainly can.
With lithium, which is what?
Lithium is the drug of choice for manic depression, and it is a salt that comes from the ground.
What are the symptoms of manic depression?
A manic person feels like he's racing. His thoughts are racing, he speaks fast, his sleep is disrupted, and that makes the whole process worse. He is euphoric often, grandiose, thinks of himself as invincible or invulnerable or capable of doing extra special things. And then the accelerating process goes too far, and the person can become irritable, angry, lose his temper, and actually misperceive the world around him.
Could he be violent?
Indeed, yes.
If Mike Tyson takes medication and he is a manic depressive, would that affect his boxing?
It could help his boxing in making him better controlled in his mood swings and in his behavior, or conceivably it could get in the way of the boxing, because in some cases of manic depression, people can actually use that violent temper, and perhaps a champion boxer actually uses the surge of adrenaline and the violence to accomplish his tasks. If that was stilled or evened out by lithium, conceivably it could impair his boxing ability. The side effects of the lithium could be a problem. For example, in coordination or tremor, which are common side effects of lithium treatment, could get in the way of a champion boxer.
Black trunks, weighing 213.5, Mike Tyson.
Millions of dollars depend on Mike Tyson's boxing ability. But his wife and mother-in-law say the most important thing is Mike's emotional health. One of the most controversial figures in this tale is his mother-in-law, 42-year-old Ruth Roper, a successful businesswoman who runs a data processing company. Divorced, she's raised her two daughters alone. Tyson affectionately calls her Ma, but critics call her divisive and say she wants to control her son-in-law and his career. Mrs. Roper, you're a strong woman. There are a lot of people who think you're running the show, that you're running Mike Tyson. What do you say to them?
Barbara, I feel as though I describe myself as a mother because it's the thing that's most important to me. And I think in many respects I've become a surrogate mother to Michael. So I don't feel that I'm running the show at all. I feel that he has come to rely on me to a great degree, to trust me, which is very difficult for Michael to do, and to really love me, and I love him.
You don't handle his money?
No, he handles his money.
Do you...
Along with advisors. He's got advisors. He's got an accountant. I don't know.
You don't. It's been said that you give him spending money. Do you give him spending money?
Oh, no.
If you were older, fat, unattractive, do you think you would have gotten the kind of ridicule?
Probably not. Maybe it's difficult to look at me and feel about me as a mother, especially his mother, because he's a big guy, and he looks maybe a little older than he is. He's just 22 years old, so he's about the same age as my youngest daughter. Initially, I think it was difficult, Barbara, to understand that I felt about him as a son, or that I loved him that much, but I think I've proven that. I think anybody who knows me knows that. But I do think the relationship is intimidating to people who earn a living through Michael, or...
like Bill Caton?
You know, yeah, like Bill Caton, to be very direct. Yes, like Bill Caton.
Bill Caton has been Mike Tyson's manager since the fighter turned professional 4 years ago, and has known him since he was 14. Caton's deal gave him 1/3 of all Tyson's earnings. It was Ruth Roper, along with Donald Trump, who fought and won to decrease Caton's percentage. But if for any reason Tyson can't fight, it could reduce Caton's earnings even more. Mr. Caton, do you think that Mike Tyson is a manic depressive? Do you think he has a...
I do not believe so.
You don't think he has a mental illness?
I don't believe he has a mental illness.
What do you believe?
I believe that Mike has been under a great deal of pressures, and that he's exhibited some behavior patterns that may not seem absolutely normal. But I've talked to people who know Mike from the time he was 12 years old. None of them have ever seen any evidence of manic depressive on the part of Mike.
Does Mike have mood swings? Great highs and lows?
I have never seen great highs and lows. I've seen very moderate highs and lows.
Is he ever violent?
Not to my knowledge.
It's been reported that while he was in these correction schools, that he hit guards. You have no knowledge of this? You never heard this?
Well, I had heard some things of that sort, but it seemed to me to be a normal reaction of someone who was caged. However, I have felt very strongly that you don't take the spark out of a man like Mike Tyson unless you're absolutely sure that you're right about the fact that he is a manic depressive.
Are you concerned that if he takes medication, that he might not be able to box?
That is not my concern. If Mike Tyson needs medication, I want him to take the medication. Whether he boxes or not is of no great interest to me.
You make money from him.
I have money. I don't need Mike's money.
If Mike is treated for the disease of manic depression, what do you think it will do to his boxing?
I think that if he's actually adjudicated, or it's finally decided that he is a manic depressive, and he is put on lithium, as far as I'm concerned, he'll never box again. I won't permit him to.
Why not?
Because it's not proper for him to box if he's on a mind-altering drug.
What do you think of Mike's mother-in-law, Mrs. Roper?
I do not quite understand Mrs. Roper.
Do you think that Mrs. Roper wants to be Mike Tyson's manager?
I have a feeling that Mrs. Roper does want to control Mike, yes. I believe so.
When I asked Mrs. Roper, she said...
Absolutely not. But I want to see that Michael is helped, that Michael doesn't continue in pain, emotional pain, as you said. If no one else does that, then I feel a certain responsibility to do that, and no one else is doing it. No one.
Who do you trust?
I trust my family. I mean, because when you think about it, that's all you have is your family.
Who?
My wife.
Your mother-in-law?
Yeah, that's my family also, because that's my family.
Bill Caton? Do you trust him?
Not at all. Me and Bill Caton are just totally interested in business.
The trust Michael has in his new family is reciprocated, but there are still problems to work on. What do you say to Robin? What advice do you give to your daughter?
She's gone through a lot of pain. But I do encourage her to hang in there. Because Michael deserves an opportunity. He's basically very good. You know, he told me that he grew up thinking he was bad. So many people have told him he's bad. He is not bad. Not at all.
There are some late-breaking developments. Late this afternoon, Tyson's manager, Bill Caton, telephoned us to say he had changed his mind, that he had consulted with leading psychiatrists who specialize in manic depression, and that they told him that even if Tyson did take lithium, there would be no reason why he couldn't fight. And Mrs. Roper called to say she is not against Mike's boxing, that her concern is to alleviate his other problems.
And of course, the final arbiters of this are the main organizations governing boxing. And they told us today that there was no precedent on which to make a decision, but that lithium was not on their list of banned substances. Now, when we come back, the woman Mike Tyson loves. And Barbara, I think it's fascinating that she refutes a lot of what the champ has said.
Yeah, what happened was, Hugh, that after we did the interview with Mike that you saw earlier, Robin came to us and said, "You're not getting the story straight." And with Mike sitting next to her, she spelled out all the details and answered all the questions.
I can't imagine that anyone would live with Mike Tyson, the one that I know, the one that I see, and not recognize that there's a problem.
Mike Tyson, the inside story, right after this.
Mike Tyson, the inside story, when 2020...
If you were to ask some of Mike Tyson's old boxing buddies, they'll probably tell you that the villains of this story are the champ's mother-in-law, whom you just met, and even more, his beautiful wife. Just today, a longtime friend of the champ, former boxer Jose Torres, said Mike Tyson has been, quote, absolutely brainwashed. Well, until tonight, neither Mrs. Roper nor her daughter, Robin, have responded to this kind of accusation.
Well, Hugh, what better way to find out than to sit down with Robin and Mike together? Then Robin could speak her mind, tell her side of the story, and Mike, being right there, could refute her if he chose to. Robin Givens eloped with Mike Tyson just last February. They seemed an unlikely couple, and I asked what they had in common.
Our honesty, our sense of tradition. I loved his sense of humor. He was persistent. He was, for the first time, he came to claim me, and I like that. Now it's family. That's very important to us. And I think we both have our feet on the ground. That's important to me.
I think she liked me more than I liked her when it first started.
Really? That's not true.
Yes, it was. I think so. She always said I didn't like him because he was a fighter, but I really believe that she liked me more than I liked her.
What did you want from Robin?
When I first met her?
Yeah.
She was just another girl.
On television.
She's just another girl. I said in my mind, she's just another girl.
And then?
And just, I don't know. You know what, really, we were real tired one night, right? I guess it was our second date, right? And I fell asleep on her leg, right? And I drooled on her leg.
You drooled on her leg?
I drooled on her leg, right? And I was so embarrassed. And she thought it was cute.
It was adorable.
And she said, wow, that's so adorable, right? And she was so happy she couldn't wait to go home and tell her mother and her sister that, you know, he drooled on my leg. And I'm going home and I'm like so paranoid about it. Oh man, do you believe I did that? Telling my friends and everything. And at that point, I said, God, there's something wrong with this girl. You know, because I mean, the girl drooled on my leg, girls say, yeah, that's, oh my God, how can you do that or something? And you're out of the picture right away. And then after that, I said, wow, this girl has something on the ball.
How long did you two know each other before you got married?
10 months.
What's it been like, this roller coaster?
It's been torture. It's been pure hell. It's been worse than anything I could possibly imagine. I'm not talking about once a week. I'm talking about every day has been some kind of battle, some kind of fight.
With whom?
With managers, with members of family, with just always trying to hold on to your dignity. It's something that I'd never thought I'd endure.
Are the fights with Mike, too?
Yes, the fights with him. Well, you know, the fights with him make me wonder why I'm going through the other fights, the other battles. You know,
what do I need this for?
Exactly.